Okay, so in this video, we're going to build up off what we did last time. Last time we had all the individual sketches for our different types of wood. We exported them into a folder on our computer, and now we need to send them to the prototyping computers to actually use the laser cutter. So we have three computers in the prototyping lab. They're each hooked up to the laser cutters. We control the laser cutters using Lightburn. Well, we kind of send files to and control the laser cutters using a software called Lightburn. Lightburn's this kind of dragon-looking soft icon we have down here that we'll get to in just a second. Okay, so we need to get our files to the prototyping computers. We can go into our OneNote. If we go to our OneNote, look at important stuff, find the shared folder, and we have a link here. That's going to open up a folder that looks something like this. We're going to see CDNF file transfer folder, and you can create folders here to store your personal work for CDNF. So if you have a folder already, great, it's already there for you to access. If not, you can look down into, you can go into create and create a folder. I'm going to access my test folder, and I can grab any of my files, which I've already done, grab the files, and then throw them into that folder. Now you can transition over to a prototyping computer, and we're going to download these files, and then we will upload them to Lightburn. If you log onto the prototyping computers along the bookmark bar, there should be some bookmarks related to like CDNF shared folder or a link to the OneNote, which might have access to that. So I have to figure that one out. Okay, yeah, so now we're going to download, and then once you're on those prototyping computers, we're going to download each individual file, and then we're going to load them up in Lightburn. So Lightburn is our laser cutting software. I was doing a little demo in here. So we're going to grab one of these files. I'm going to do birch. There's going to be like a little bit of annoyance in here. If I load this, one, it's upside down, but two, it's also including all this extra geometry I don't need. For me personally, for my my birch, I just want these clouds, I want the front door, and I want this little kind of skylight looking thing. So I don't want all this geometry. Actually, the fact that it's upside down really doesn't bother me because I'm really just cutting out these shapes, almost like shapes for a puzzle. So I don't need each individual piece to be in the right spot. But I'm going to grab these and I'm going to delete the extra parts. Delete, delete, delete. I think I want the clouds and I want those. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab all this and we are going to kind of push them together. So I don't care where they are relative to each other. I just need to cut these pieces out. So we're going to put all of these pieces kind of right next to each other. I'm doing this because I really want to limit the amount of space that I use, the amount of wood that I cut using my laser cutter. So if I put all these like that, nice and tight together. Now for our project, what we need to do is figure out like what instructions do we need to send the laser cutter in order to cut this thing out. The laser cutter will get the shapes here, but we also need to know like how fast should the laser cutter move and how much power should it use? Because depending on the type of wood you're using, the different type of material you're cutting, you'll need to power the laser at higher or lower powers and also maybe have it go faster or slower. We can kind of play with those variables. Now for us, we already have these set up for you. So if we look into the bottom right on your computer, you should see, or on the prototype computer, you should see some material, a material library down here. So in my material library, I'm going to have, I think probably there's going to be more options in here. This is maybe an older material library. But we can go down here and we can select all sorts of different options. Now mine's in metric, so kind of make do with that. But basically, like this is for cutting plywood, and it's kind of figured out that if we're going to use, if we're going to cut all the way through, then we should use this set amount of speed and power. So if we select this thing and we go into cut, actually we don't really need to select it. What we're going to do is we're going to assign a layer. So what you might see is like all of this, the outline of all these shapes is in black, and we can see up here we have a layer that's black. We can make multiple layers, although we won't do that for this project, but maybe for future projects, we can make multiple layers where we select different colors. So now we have two layers, one for black, one for blue, and we could individually assign the layers. Like maybe for one, I'm cutting out of, I don't know, maybe I don't want to cut all the way through. I just want to kind of engrave the surface. I might want to do something different. So I could kind of set different speeds and powers at different parts of my drawing. Now for us, we don't need that, but I want to illustrate kind of why do we have cuts, why do we have layers, and how is this process going to work. So I'm going to change this back to black. All right, so what I want to do in here is I want to select the appropriate thickness of wood. I think plywood's going to be fine. There might be some other settings in Lightburns at school because I might have like put individual settings for the other types of hardwoods. But I think for now, I'm going to say that it's going to be this 3.17 millimeters. For ours, it's going to be an 1/8 inch. So look for the ones that are closest to 1/8 inch. What I need to do is I click on this thing and I'm going to hit assign. And what this is going to do is going to set the power and the speed based on the settings in here. If we look previously, You can see the speed was like much higher and the power was like 20. So when I hit assign, we are going a little bit higher power, but much slower in speed. I'm not sure what the previous setting was for. Maybe it was like for an outline. You can see like if I was going to cut something much thicker, let's see, we have 700 and then 25. Let's change this to assign. We can see the speed goes way down, power goes way up. So those variables mean like the laser cutter for thicker material, it's going to move slower, but it's going to have higher speed. So it's going to cut through some really deep material. So these are values that can be played around with, but really we have these already set for you where we can just assign that. Okay, so that's going to be about it. I am going to, I think there's some other stuff we could do in here. I think the fact that I don't have a machine select means I can't do everything, but that'll at least get you to the point of talking to me about getting a laser cutter set up to do the final passes on here.